Welcome back to the deep dive. All right, today we are tackling something that I think hangs over pretty much everyone's to-do list. Self-discipline. And usually when we hear that phrase, we think, I don't know, rigidity, deprivation, like forcing yourself to do miserable things.
Yeah, exactly. It's got terrible PR, honestly, for what's actually a really positive idea.
Yeah.
So our mission today is to give you a practical, encouraging way to look at it. We're drawing a lot from Dr. Christine Lai's work here.
Okay.
She basically argues that self-discipline isn't about restriction. It's the power to harness, that's her word,
Yeah.
your thinking, your feeling, and your actions so they line up with what you actually want, your goals.
Harnessing.
Yeah, it's about skills, really. Practical stuff like making
Right.
decisions, managing time, managing your own behavior.
Right, but harnessing still sounds like a lot of work, like constant effort and control. How does that square with this idea of freedom you mentioned? Because they sound like opposites.
Well, it's like this. The effort part, the harnessing, it's often short term.
Hmm.
But the payoff, that's lasting clarity. Dr. Leaning actually points out that, the simple fact that you decided to listen to this deep dive, that's an act of self-discipline right there.
Huh, really?
Yeah, you overcame inertia. You chose, clarity over maybe the million other things you could be doing. You flexed that mental muscle already.
Okay, I can see that. So let's hit that negative idea directly. If I really start working on my self-discipline, am I just signing up for a boring, miserable life?
Not at all. That's
Yeah.
the big misunderstanding. You're actually signing up to be more flexible, more reliable, especially to yourself.
How so? Flexible sounds like the opposite of disciplined.
Think of it like a flashlight. Self-discipline is a tool.
Yeah.
You pull it out when you're in the dark, right?
Mhm.
When you need to see the next step clearly. You don't need it switched on all the time, like when you're relaxing. But knowing you have that flashlight, knowing you can switch it on whenever things get murky, that makes you way more adaptable. It actually expands what you feel capable of doing, but you trust yourself to navigate challenges towards something specific.
That really cuts against this common idea, doesn't it? This notion that, anything worthwhile has to feel incredibly hard. If it comes easily, we almost distrust it.
Exactly. We sometimes, maybe subconsciously, invent difficulty because we think we need to suffer to deserve the reward. But Dr. Lai's point is that self-discipline isn't about creating struggle. It's about being resilient and focused when the inevitable struggles pop up. It's preparedness, not self-punishment.
Okay, preparedness. Yeah. And on the flip side, what about not having this resilience, the cost of just putting things off, of procrastination? It's more than just missing a deadline.
Oh, absolutely. The cost is huge and mostly emotional. Yes, procrastination wastes energy, time, maybe money on late fees or whatever, but the real hit, it's to your self-confidence. It's the background anxiety. That feeling when you're trying to relax, but there's that task looming, that guilt, that kind of low-level self-blame. It just makes starting even harder next time. So that lack of discipline, it actively shrinks your mental and emotional freedom. It traps you.
Wow. Okay. So the way out, according to the source, involves accepting 100% personal accountability, which honestly sounds a bit terrifying. Isn't that just setting yourself up for blame?
It sounds like it, but it's actually this fascinating paradox. When you accept 100% accountability, you're basically saying, okay, external factors, excuses, I couldn't because. I'm not giving those power anymore.
Right.
By saying, I'm the one who decides, you're actually giving yourself full permission, full authority to manage your own life. You take back the control from circumstances and put it squarely in your own hands. It's empowering, not terrifying, when you frame it that way.
Okay, I see the shift. It's about agency. So let's move from that mindset piece into, well, what do we actually do? The source mentions building strength through small actions.
Yes, exactly. Consistency is everything. It builds the structure for change. The material lays out 5 core habits that kind of weave together to save you time and energy in the long run.
What are those?
They are, fundamentally, the habit of planning, the habit of deciding, the habit of simplifying, taking action regularly, and, this is crucial, the habit of trusting yourself.
Simplifying. I like that one. Can you give an example? Because life feels so complicated already.
Simplification is about getting really clear on what you need to stop doing. Ruthlessly clear. Like, say you waste 20 minutes every morning checking 5 different news sites before you even start work.
Guilty.
Right. Simplifying might mean deciding, okay, I'm checking one source for 5 minutes and that's it. Or maybe eliminating it entirely until lunchtime. It's like pruning back the small stuff so the important things can actually grow.
Pruning. I like that visual. Okay, so we simplify and then we need targets. This brings us to SMART goals, right? Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-based. That framework's pretty well known.
It is. But Dr. Leanne's a really important layer here. She stresses that goals themselves are just pragmatic tools that get stuff done. But they are relevant or realistic that needs to connect directly back to your core values.
Values, like honesty or...
Exactly.
Yeah.
Honesty, dependability, creativity, health, whatever matters most to you. So let's say you hate public speaking, deep down. Setting a smart goal to give a huge keynote next month might tick all the boxes, specific, measurable, time-based, but if it clashes violently with your current values or sense of self, is it truly relevant right now? Probably not. The values are what give the goal its actual meaning, its worth.
That makes sense. It grounds the goal in something deeper. Okay, speaking of things that work, here's something that really jumped out at me from the research mentioned. It's about making goals stick.
Ah, yes. The writing it down part?
Yes. Dr. Gail Matthews' research, it found that people who simply wrote down their goals were, get this, 42% more likely to achieve them compared to those who just kept them in their heads.
It's staggering, isn't it?
Yeah.
42%.
It's huge for like 60 seconds of effort. What's going on there?
It's about commitment, I think.
Yeah.
And clarity. Taking that fuzzy idea from your brain and putting it onto paper or a screen makes it concrete, real. It's it lowers the mental resistance to starting because the decision feels more solid, more official. You've given yourself instructions.
Right. It's like you've signed a contract with yourself. So whether it's a small goal like decluttering your desk this week to help your bigger goal of being more productive, writing it down gives it this massive boost.
And confirms that accountability we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
You're accountable to that written statement.
Okay. So we have the mindset shift, we have the framework with SMART goals rooted in values, and the crucial step of writing them down. Now, the big one, getting started. Why is just starting so incredibly hard sometimes?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It really boils down to anxiety. Starting something new, even something good for you, triggers uncertainty. And our brains, well, they're wired to interpret uncertainty as potential danger.
Like an ancient survival mechanism misfiring in the modern world.
Pretty much. We feel that flutter of anxiety about the unknown. Can I do this? What if I fail? And we mistake it for a genuine threat signal. So we freeze. We procrastinate to avoid the perceived danger.
Which leads right into what you called the biggest lie of productivity, the motivation myth.
Oh, absolutely. This is maybe the most counterintuitive but liberating insight from the source.
Yeah.
You do not need to feel motivated to start.
Say that again.
You don't need motivation to begin. We wait for this magical surge of inspiration or energy, but motivation often doesn't come before the action. It comes after you start doing something. Action generates motivation, not the other way around.
Wow. So waiting for the perfect time or the right mood is basically just procrastination in disguise.
Exactly. It's a very convincing disguise, but it's still procrastination.
So how do we break through that? How do we just...
Surely.
The source has a couple of really practical strategies, depending on how you're feeling.
Right. Strategy 1 is great for those days when you feel totally overwhelmed, just paralyzed. Do the easiest thing first. Yep. Send that one simple email. File that one paper. Write just the title of that big report you're dreading. It seems small, but it breaks the inertia. It gives you an immediate tiny win, which puts you in a slightly better headspace, a sort of winning mood.
Okay, I like that. Low barrier to entry. What's the other one?
Strategy 2 is kind of the opposite. For days when maybe you have a bit more energy or focus, it's do the hardest thing first.
Ah, the eat the frog idea.
Exactly. Tackle that big, intimidating task right away. Get it done. The advantage there is you use your peak energy for the toughest part, and then everything else for the rest of the day feels easier in comparison.
So 2 different tactics, but the underlying principle is the same. Just move. Take some kind of action to override that initial resistance.
Precisely. Action requires clarity, though, which brings us back to that why statement the source emphasizes. Clarity is the mother of productivity. You need to be clear on why you're doing this task, why this goal matters. That purpose is your anchor when the initial momentum fades.
Okay, so we've started. We've taken action. But then life happens. Distractions pull us away. How do we maintain momentum and stay focused? The source breaks down distractions into 2 useful types.
Yes, the macro and the micro distractions. Macro distractions are the bigger things, activities that just soak up too much of your time and energy, even if you sort of agreed to them. Like maybe overcommitting to volunteer work or too many unnecessary meetings.
Things that eat into the time you need for your core goals.
Right. The solution there is often about setting better boundaries at a higher level, really treating your calendar like a strategic document, not just a passive list, and getting comfortable saying no or renegotiating commitments to protect your focus time.
Okay, so that's the big picture stuff. What about the constant buzzing and pinging? The phone, the notifications? Those feel pretty macro sometimes.
Well, the source would probably classify the phone itself or the constant checking as a micro distraction, even if it leads to a macro time suck. Micro-distractions are those small, frequent temptations. Email alerts, social media notifications, the urge to quickly Google something unrelated.
The little things that constantly derail your train of thought.
Exactly. And the solution for these is often surprisingly simple, though maybe not easy. It's usually about physical or digital removal. Put the phone in another room for an hour, turn off notifications, close unnecessary browser tabs, just reduce the immediate sensory temptations. Your focus often returns naturally when there's less pulling at it.
Reduce the clutter, basically. Physical and digital.
Okay, and related to focus is finishing things. You mentioned earlier how unfinished tasks weigh on us.
Ah, yes, the Zeigarnik effect. It's this psychological finding that our brains tend to remember unfinished tasks about twice as well as completed ones. They create this sort of mental tension, an open loop.
Like leaving dirty dishes in the sink.
Yeah.
You can't fully relax until it's done. Exactly that. Your brain keeps a little bit of attention on that incomplete task. That's why actually finishing things, closing those loops, is so important for mental peace and sustained focus. It frees up bandwidth.
Makes total sense. Okay, last piece here. Mindset tools for when things get tough. We've started, we're trying to focus, but inevitably we hit roadblocks or feel discouraged. The source mentions grit, but also self-compassion. That seems counterintuitive again for discipline.
It does,
Yeah.
but it's absolutely crucial. Self-compassion is key to breaking that negative procrastination cycle. See, when we face something new or difficult, anxiety is normal. We established that.
Right.
If our immediate reaction is harsh self-criticism, oh, I'm so lazy, I should be better at this, we just pile more negative emotion onto the anxiety, which makes us want to avoid the task even more.
So we restart the whole avoidance loop.
Precisely. Self-compassion means acknowledging, okay, this feels uncomfortable or scary. That's normal when trying something new or hard. It allows you to kind of relax into the discomfort instead of fighting it or blaming yourself for it.
Yeah.
You recognize the feeling without letting it define you or stop you.
That's actually a huge relief to hear, thinking of anxiety not as a personal failing, but just a normal response.
It's just a signal, not a verdict. And part of that self-compassion is managing your internal chatter. The source really highlights avoiding that negative self-talk, replacing words like can't, won't, difficult, problem with more positive action-focused words like can, will, challenge, opportunity. You become your own coach, not your own critic.
Coach, not critic. I like that. Okay, so let's zoom out. If we tie all these threads together from our deep dive today, self-discipline isn't about being a rigid robot. It's about finding real control through taking full responsibility, that 100% accountability. It's about setting clear, meaningful, smart goals based on your values, and actually writing them down. That 42% boost is just too big to ignore.
Definitely.
It's about understanding you don't need to wait for motivation. You just need to start maybe with the easiest thing, maybe the hardest, and then protecting that momentum by managing those macro and micro distractions and using self-compassion, not self-criticism, when things get tough.
That sums it up nicely. And the core takeaway is the real shifts in perspective. I'd say they are. 1, truly believe in yourself. Reject those underlying narratives that maybe you aren't capable or you don't deserve the success. 2, keep your attention focused on what matters: your time, your energy, your goals. Don't let the noise drown out your own intentions. And 3, try to see everything as an opportunity, even setbacks an opportunity to learn, adapt, and become more open.
And that idea of managing time, it leads to this interesting outcome. When you're disciplined with your time, you actually end up with more of it. More time for the important work, yes, but also more time to just live, to enjoy things.
It's the ultimate return on investment.
Absolutely. So here's the final thought we want to leave you with today, something to chew on. The source suggests that success builds your capacity for greater responsibility. So ask yourself this: what responsibility might you be avoiding right now? Not because you fear failure, but because deep down you might actually fear the success it could bring and the bigger responsibilities that might follow.
Find that answer. Maybe write down a goal related to it, and then just start.
Right.
Easiest thing or hardest, just start.
This has been The Deep Dive. We'll talk to you next time.